when I was in Australia last, I was working with an indigenous community in the Kimberley, which is the northwest of Western Australia.
Hmm.
And there are huge problems out there with alcohol, drug abuse. And there was a young Guniandi man, that's the language group, Guniandi, who
Hmm.
turned away from drugs and alcohol and started taking troubled youth out into the bush to teach them the old ways,
Hmm.
um, to connect them to a culture that has existed for before white Australia existed.
Hmm.
Um, and the idea is to then tell that story of what he's doing, but then take him to Guatemala, where I've just made a film where I was working with the Kaichi community um, in the mountains, and have them talk about culture and their
Hmm.
traditions and myths, and looking for the similarities. And then from
Hmm.
there, we'll take. So it's an Aboriginal man in the Kaichi community in Guatemala, and then we'll take somebody from there to the Inuits in Alaska, and then sub-Saharan Africa. So you tell
Hmm.
the indigenous life on Earth. So imagine David Attenborough's wildlife, except we're
Hmm.
doing it with people. And
Right.
we tell the stories looking for the commonality, looking for the things that link us.
Hmm.
Because, and this comes to story, which is what we might be talking about, is that um, Joseph Campbell looked at myths across all cultures and found
Hmm.
there were so many similarities that he developed, his 12 stages of the hero's journey. Um,
Yes.
so what is that? How can somebody who has no connection with Africa living in South America come up with the same
Right.
stories? What? So
Yeah. So, I mean, you're referencing, I think, it's commonly known as the monomyth, right? I mean, that's the thing that he's best known for, right? The concept that, you know, all religions are true, but none of them are real. Basically, is what he has said. Is that, and that's what we see, those commonalities throughout all of human culture. Is that we all have this in common, and they're all mostly, true, but none of them are 100% correct. Was how I surmise it. Would you agree with that? Basically,
yes,
of what Campbell's theory was, basically.
yes, I would agree with that to some point. Except there are stories of fire coming from the sky
Hmm.
in traditional Indigenous Australian Indigenous culture. And
Hmm.
they've actually tracked back to the dates. And there was a meteor that had come through at that point in that community,
Yep.
centuries ago, and that there are actually links to real events. So the stories have
Hmm.
evolved. Um, they haven't evolved from nothing. Uh,
Sure.
and there's this strong belief, of course, that we can't create anything that we haven't experienced. I got
Yes.
into a huge fight with an artist about this who said, that's crazy. And I said, okay, create an alien that doesn't have any eyes, scales, feathers, whatever. Create something that
Right.
doesn't exist. Um, so yes, I think that there's a stimulus that creates the story, and then it evolves over time.
Sure.
So there is a
As we try
reality.
and explain what we have experienced, what we have seen, and sort of the empirical evidence, there was fire in the sky, but then we try and explain why that happened and perhaps the destruction and why things or people might have died in that. And I think those commonly were talked about as the gods are angry, because the only time that a human would enact such destruction on someone is because, oh, well, he must have been really pissed, right? Like really angry to make that
Right.
happen, but we don't have the power to do that. And so we literally take those concepts like you talked about, the alien, the eyes, the mouth, right, the things we understand, and we try and fit this new information into our existing structure of narrative. Thank you for watching and listening. You can find more episodes wherever you listen to your podcasts. And a special thanks to those who support us on Patreon. It's your support that enables us to do this work.